Brent, it's good to see you this morning. I can tell you this, my lights are brighter than me this morning.
Well, I'll tell you what, you know what I did? I don't know if you could tell, but I went ahead and took the background that you sent me that I've been using all
Oh
this
yeah,
time,
look at
and
that.
I dropped it into Nano Banana because I just like to say that.
We
Uh,
need to get Google to sponsor us because of this whole Nano Banana thing. I mean, I'm sure we're the only ones who are using Nano Banana right now, right?
yeah, and I said I asked it to use this image as a baseline. And then I said, my first one was create a version that's just a little bit more colorful. And so it did. And I was shocked. Normally, like in the past, AI image tools would ignore the part where I said, use this as a baseline and just make it more colorful. It would invent other mountains and it would make a completely different picture,
Yes.
albeit more colorful, but a completely different picture. Right. Nano Banana accepted the fact that I said, hey, keep the picture, just make it more colorful. And it did. It was super cool. And then I thought, oh, this is cool. I wonder how many different things I could do. So the next one I did was do a version in the style of a Roadrunner cartoon background. And that's this one.
That's perfect. What would be I don't know if this is the ultimate test, but another test, because we failed at this one. Remember when we did the jackalope test?
Yes. I started down that road and then I'm like, crap, I got 9 minutes. There's no way I'm going to be able to get it exactly the way I want. I'm just going to do something easy.
So there we go. Like for the jackalope test, there'll be everybody's got some kind of test. Van Halen had the green M&M test or brown M&M test. I think was their thing in their rider. So. Yeah. Our test for visual imagery will be: can it hide the jackalope?
Can it hide the jackalope? Yes, it can create a very cute jackalope, but it doesn't hide it very well.
Well, maybe Gemini, maybe Nano Banana will get it because it was Dolly.
Here's what I was thinking. Yeah. There has to be a particular artist or an artistic style where a bunch of shapes are put together, but some of the shapes are actual things, and that's the hiding. I think it doesn't understand the word hiding. Like when we just said, hide it in this image or whatever words we used, I think we have to give it a reference to a piece of art or a style or an artist that does something similar. And then it will be like, oh, yeah, I get it. And then it might do it differently. I don't know.
Where my brain goes around that is, wait a second. You told me you wanted me to make something, and then you want me to hide it. You humans are weird. Like, I don't understand.
Why do you ask me to do these stupid things? Here's something that I didn't quite, I'll get the exact verbiage of it that shocked me. So I still haven't written up the article yet on it, but remember I said after I created that first wacky, over the top instructional design ADDIE model infographic.
Yep.
When I went back and tried to reverse engineer it and get it to, understand and create the whole thing. Wacky flow of work. Okay, there was the interesting thing about it was, so here's what I said. I said, I used the following prompt in Nano Banana and would like to know more about how it made the choices it made to create the complex image. I'm curious about how it decided on color choices and art direction in general. Prompt, and then I put the prompt in there. And its response was, that is a fascinating prompt because it forces the AI to fight against its own training data. And I thought, what does he mean by that? So the next paragraph is, typically when an AI sees instructional design or flowchart, it pulls from training data full of clean, minimalist corporate graphics, lots of white space, blue boxes, and straight lines. By adding wacky, over the top, and complicated, you forced the model to resolve a conflict between corporate order and creative chaos.
That is freaking awesome.
Isn't that great? That it tells you that,
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, right. Or cloud of dust in the context of the Roadrunner, like the
Yes.
coyote just drop. The well, yeah, hey, and shows you how my morning's going, Brent. You went with Roadrunner taking off, and I went coyote slamming against the ground in a cloud of dust. So sometimes those clouds of dust are just different perspective.
Half
Just
full, half empty, you know.
uh,
It's funny. Well, so here's the interesting thing too that I was actually getting at was I didn't even realize I had done it, but in that initial prompt that I've been sharing with people, and we've been asking them to kind of do their own, but just swap out the topic. My topic, I didn't just write instructional design. I wrote traditional instructional design.
mm,
And
okay.
that kind of threw it off. That when it says it had to fight against its own training data, here's basically what it said. It said the color palette, wacky versus traditional. And in AI image generation, specific words carry weights in
Okay.
quotation marks that that dictate color temperature and saturation. The traditional weight, if you had stopped at traditional instructional design, the AI would have likely defaulted to to corporate blue, gray, and white. This is the statistical average of all ID diagrams in its database. And
That's
then,
awesome.
yeah, so like a corporate blue, gray, and white. So if anybody wants to make something very specifically corporate, that is your color palette right there. So if you're colorblind and you're not too sure what to pick, just pick those. You'll be fine. And then then he says the wacky override is the topic. When you added wacky and over the top, the AI shifted the weights toward high saturation and complementary contrasts. Expectation. You likely saw neon green clashing with purples or bright oranges against cyans. The AI interprets wacky as non standard. So it deliberately selects colors that are mathematically distant from each other on the color wheel to create visual vibration. Isn't that
Holy shit!
great?
This is great. So this is so. Here's where my mind goes again. Like, just,
Oh, it
I'm
doesn't
just gonna
stop
open
there,
it up.
but go ahead.
I'm gonna open something up here. So the what this makes me want to do, a lot of people will go in and be like, given what you know about me, tell me, given what you know about all of our chats, tell me something about me that I may not, or whatever. Um, what might be cool is to go in there and describe the exact opposite of me.
Oh,
Like,
that'd be
what would the
interesting.
wacky version of me
Oh,
be?
cool.
Like, and all of a sudden somebody shows up in a white t-shirt. Like, what? the
No, here's what you do is go into Nano Banana and ask that question and say, make a visual representation based on everything you know about me of what
oh
you think I
no,
look like.
oh no, oh no. the Before you get to the next piece, Craig added a comment in here that Cavalier, so Josh Cavalier, if you don't know him, follow him. He's been putting out some really good stuff around use and application of AI in learning and development specifically. He speaks at a number of guild events and other events, and has recently published a book. He will be on the Find My Catalyst podcast here in the next couple of weeks, as soon as I can get through some of my editing. Josh and I recorded just
Cool.
before Thanksgiving, so we'll get that. I'll get that episode out. But shout out to Josh Cav.
Yeah, he's awesome. I have his book right here. Hold on.
I'm digging the Roadrunner background.
While we're doing shout outs, here we go. Everybody go get Josh's book.
There you go.
And just to brag a little bit and to name drop, he likes me enough to have signed it with all sorts of friendly, nice things.
Mm, look at
So,
that.
are you jealous? Are you jelly?
Yeah, super. Because just wasn't able to make it into Vegas early enough to go to that event. And then we made the after hour party in the Luxor, uh, the Luxor casino bar, which, um, yeah.
That was
So
good times. Hey, listen, we got nowhere near a bowl of girls, so we survived and everything was okay.
it was good.
And that's a story for another time.
Yes.
Yes. So anyhow, oh, by the way, I did actually remember to sign in and push it out to LinkedIn. So there is that. The only thing that you and I didn't do that we were going to test today was also promoting it on the socials as soon as we go live and pushing it out there. So you can do that while I read the next paragraph because you're going to love this. This hit me when you were talking yesterday. You mentioned the Rube Goldberg effect,
Yeah.
and it totally brought me back to this. So this was like number 2 in the list of its thinking process. So what I just read before was listed as point number 1. Here's point number 2: the art direction, the Rube Goldberg effect. The prompt, complicated as possible, triggers a specific visual trope in AI models. Visual density. The AI interprets complicated as high object density, filling every inch of negative space. And then the next item was mechanism over process. Since process is an abstract concept, the AI often visualizes it as physical machinery. It likely turned the abstract steps of ADDIE, analyze, design, develop, etc., into pipes, gears, chutes, and ladders. Style reference. It likely pulled from artistic styles associated with complexity, such as steampunk, cyberpunk, or doodles. Why this happens. The AI tries to make the flowchart look like a machine that does everything, resulting in a Rube Goldberg style aesthetic where simple tasks are depicted as ridiculously complex mechanical interactions.
That is so cool.
So, and it doesn't actually stop there. There's a part that the number 3 is the composition, how it comes up with the composition. There's a thing called the spaghetti diagram, which I've never heard of, but apparently it's a thing.
It's a big thing in operations. So you do spaghetti diagrams are a great way. Just super simple version of it is think about having a bowl of spaghetti and you just kind of like drop it over your operating environment. So if you you work in an office,
Yeah.
and now you have lines of spaghetti showing all of the different movement that's happening inside the office. So you start to see this real flow that's happening. It's a really cool way to start to visualize all of the movement and potentially unnecessary movement or inefficient movement that happens inside an operation, or ways to
So
optimize.
yeah, so it's a thing. So it says exactly what you just said. In data visualization, a quote unquote spaghetti plot is a chart that is unreadable due to overlapping lines. The AI likely generated a spaghetti diagram on purpose. Recursive connections. To satisfy complicated, the model likely drew arrows that loop back on themselves, connecting to nothing or spiraling into fractals. It mimics the look of complexity without understanding the logic of the workflow.
Holy shit, AI could be a consultant.
Right? The logic, right? Here's the logic. The AI creates a maze aesthetic. It assumes that to be quote unquote over the top, the path from point A to point B must be as circuitous as possible.
Wow.
So, anyways, there's a whole bunch more, but I don't want to bore everybody
That's a
with it.
cool it's cool because this gets into, hey, like, how did that thing work? Like,
Yeah, that's why I
how
was
do you
curious about it. I was like,
yeah.
wait a minute, and I like that always is what, like, whenever magic happens, I'm always curious. And AI just looks like magic. I'm always curious as to how it comes up with it, because you read about all these people online that think that they know all about it, and maybe a lot of them do. And they try to explain it, and you're like, yeah, but what about this? But what about that? But what about this? And you know, so it's nice to just be able to finally ask AI and have it be smart enough to understand what you're trying to ask it, and it gives you everything you wanted to know.
So, uh, in the spirit of learning, and then um, adopting and putting something into practice, um, Craig, you'll be pleasantly surprised. Brent and I took a note and have a checklist item, that something that we're going to go back to. And one of the things that we said that we were going to go back to, just based on this one popping up last night, and I'm just going to pull this up really quickly here. And this is just me sharing my LinkedIn.
Oh, I was just
Trish
looking
Wool.
for it. Okay, cool.
So
Yeah.
Trish Wool, who was at TLZC 18 or 19 back in the day, was had a post yesterday, and one of the things that jumped out at me was this double loop that I was trying to describe horribly. And speaking of some people, there you go. There's Josh Cav. Um, I think that's you.
It must be me. Yeah.
And then there's Marcus, Kara. We got a couple of friends in the like comments here. So shout out to Trish. This is that piece that I was trying to um describe, the
So what
double
was the
loop part.
context? Because when you pointed this out to me in the text message, I don't know if it was just late and I just didn't have a clear head or what, but
Yeah.
what was the context that we were talking about this? I can't
So
remember.
it was just basically, it was the importance of feedback loops in learning.
Mm,
And then we talked about a couple of different processes that take place. And there are some processes that are truly linear, where you go from A to B to C to D to E to all the way through until the process fails. And maybe at some point they start again, and you're always starting a new process even though you've got some information from the old one. There are other processes, for me, I would describe that as game of life. So board game application of that type of process would be like game of life. That's how I think of customer decision making, buyer journey type stuff. There's
yep.
this linear thing that happens. Sales process, on the other hand, another type of process, is more like shoots and ladders. And the thing about it is it can move forward, but then it will loop backward. And then it could loop backward again, and then start to move forward. And we've all played, or many of us have played shoots and ladders. If you're in the UK, or outside of the States, it'd be snakes and ladders is the version of the game. But there's you move up and you're moving through the board, and then all of a sudden you hit one of those ladders and you go up to the top, and you think you got a real opportunity, meaning some executive inside the organization says, yes, I like the idea that you have about how we could implement this new learning technology inside our organization, and I'm going to help you build your team inside, and so inside the organization. And then all of a sudden, they bring in the people on the finance side, they bring in a GM from the functional area of the business, and you get the wah wah wah, and everybody has to go back, slide back down the slide, and go back. It happens both internally, as you're justifying some decisions inside the business, we're trying to get people to invest in your programs, and it happens externally from a sales perspective. So there's internal and external versions of that, but that's more like shoots and ladders. And this is where I look at these kind of processes that have loops associated with them. We're going backward, and you may not go backward all the way to the beginning, but you go backward to a previous step, and then you get to move forward. And then so shoots and ladders. And the third type of process, consistent process, um, that I use to help uh, remove the noise of the spaghetti diagram with all of the overlapping things and make things really noisy. So I say, okay, are we looking at this in a linear format, which is game of life? Or are we looking at it with looping, and you can come back to a different point again and just have to go through those stages to reduce risk, shoots and ladders? Or is it going to be the same thing over and over again, where we're just going to wash, rinse, repeat? We just don't know how many times we've got to take a look at the Tootsie Roll Pop before we get to the center. And that's going to be like
Yeah.
Monopoly. And that, for me, the first version of that I saw, a version that's common or more widely known, is the OODA loop. You familiar with OODA loop, Brent?
No.
So Lieutenant Colonel John Boyd um, uh, came up with this model of accelerated decision making to help um, uh, aviators um, perform better in combat. So if you
Okay.
think about Top Gun, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
okay, so we've seen Top Gun. Well, the OODA loop, observe. So you observe a situation, you orient, you figure out where you are in time and space relative to that situation. You make a decision of what you're going to do next, and you take action. And then you observe again, you orient, you decide, you take action, and you observe again, and you orient, you decide, and you take action. And the value of something like this is it's accelerated decision making and action. So you're accelerating taking that action, acting, rather than getting into a situation where a lot of us find ourselves in. I'll stop sharing this, but a lot of us might find ourselves in where we're just stuck,
Yeah.
where we're
Analysis paralysis.
yeah, we're not making any progress. So there's nothing new for us to observe and orient around because we didn't decide to do something, and we didn't take action. So three different processes, three distinct ways to look at it, and to help simplify it or make it just kind of stick for people. I try to take folks back in time and use board games to describe them. So it's game of life. Is that the journey that we're going on?
Yeah.
Is it shoots and ladders, or is it Monopoly?
It could be any one of them.
It could be any one of them, but usually what ends up happening is one of them fits best for the purpose.
For the
Serves the
situation. Yeah.
it serves the purpose best. So in the future, what you'll do is you'll be able to ask the AI to go through and do this and say, "Hey, is this which is a better version of this kind of process?" For now, you got to work with some dude with a black T-shirt and a whiteboard.
Just for now.
So anyhow, it was cool to see that image up there because that was
Yeah.
the thing, which is it was productive learning, generative learning, and just kind of this movement between knowing information and then unknowing, and then kind of going back and forth as you go through it.
Yeah, hers was kind of more the way she was visualizing. I think was more like the balance thing, right? Like you got to do a little bit of one and a little bit of the other. Or we've moved from the one on the left to the one on the right, and now we are getting more value from the loop on the right because we're having to figure things out as we go, as opposed to knowing and learning and knowing the thing and then going through the loop like the way our past was. So it's kind of like pre-AI, post-AI.
So it's interesting. It's an interesting interpretation. So like I look at it, and the thing that jumps out at me actually is not as much that it's pre or a post or this or a that. It's that if any of these ever become out of balance, you're either going to dig yourself really, really, really deep ruts because you're doing the same kind of things over and over again, or you're going to get so of out of your own environment where you're constantly be going after new stuff, you're not actually going to be able to make it stick. So being able to, it's almost like have you ever seen those flow state diagrams that are
Mm-hmm.
out there where people are like when you're doing something, well, think about help me with this from an instructional design perspective. If you make something super super difficult, what's the risk in a training environment? If something's just so hard, like it's just such a hard thing to do, what will happen with the majority of your audience?
And the people won't do it. They'll just shut down. Yeah.
And what happens if it's super easy?
Then people are bored.
Okay. So there's this balance that you've got to hit between hard enough.
That's
But
game
not
design theory right there is what you're talking about.
and what people will do is it's like hard minus plus, and then how does it go?
Here, I'll pimp another book.
Pimp the book. pimp the book because I got to remember how this charts up on the
Yeah,
axis. It's like
so what? Yeah. So what Mike is actually talking about is game theory, and which is why when you know you're playing a good game, and what how they define sort of addiction, or how you keep somebody playing the game
yeah.
is you make it just hard enough so that somebody feels like they can do it and they try but they fail, and so they're excited enough to want to stay in the game and try again and to continue trying. To Mike's point, if it's too easy and you just get bored and then you stop playing and you don't want to play anymore. If it's too hard, same thing happens. You're just like, I am not skilled enough. I don't want to put in the time to learn it, so I'm just going to go to a different game. So the trick is to try to find and to build games that are easy and challenging enough to make you want to stay and to try and to win, but not so easy that you get bored and not so hard that you don't. And it's all spelled out in this particular book that I tell people a lot too. So in my great list of non-L&D books for L&D people, this is probably the one that hits the top of the list, A Theory of Fun by Ralph Koster. Where he talks a lot about that. He talks about my favorite page. I can't remember if I dog-eared it or not, but I've quoted it like 100,000 times. I just don't want to get the quote wrong.
You could go like Super Mario Brothers there. Like that was the first little bit there. I think I was getting ready like do 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 do.
I didn't mean to.
Maybe we need to have like music in the background, like
We
the Jeopardy music in the background.
Music, yes. Well, I will hook up all that stuff to my my Stream Deck here one of these days. But what? Where does he say it? I can't believe it. There is a difference between designing the content and designing the end user experience. No. I obviously didn't. I'm looking at the wrong thing. I should have highlighted it or underlined it or something. But basically, the concept is learning is the drug. The learning part of games is the drug that keeps people addictive. The fact that you learn a little bit more every time you try, and you're learning as you go, and you keep trying and you keep trying again. And the way he phrased it is just really good. But I've totally ruined it and spoiled it now, and I'll have to find it.
Well, now, so find it, and now we'll add that to our list of things. So we've got another thing on a checklist, which just means you're going to have to come back tomorrow to hear the answer to that one. So it is. Are you familiar with unscheduled positive reinforcement?
Yes.
It is amazing the impact that has on conditioning and training and addiction. Right, like whether you're in that the lobby bar of the Luxor, or you're in you're on a golf course, or you have an aha moment with the AI tool, there's some success that you need to get at some point in time, because that success will it creates. Maybe we've got to get somebody in here to talk a little bit more about the neuroscience of it, but the hit that you get, the hit that you get, that's just gets you wanting to, or brings you coming back. So anyhow, unscheduled positive reinforcement is a very powerful tool when coaching and training and developing and influencing folks.
So here's the phrase. Well, he says, in other words, comma, with games, comma, learning is the drug. Somebody made it into a motivational quote as a screensaver.
Huh. I bet somebody's going to turn it into a nano banana image.
Someone's going to nano banana the hell out of that, probably. Yeah. I don't know, but
right. We are 30 minutes into this thing today. What
the hell have we talked about? Yeah, I don't know. Okay, you know what? Here we go. We're just throwing out names and just pimping out all the good people doing good things. I'll tell you, the very first thing that I saw in my email inbox this morning was from Dr. Philippa Hardman. her Dr. Phil's newsletter, and she has, if you don't follow or get her newsletter, you absolutely should. Ever since the new version of Nano Banana came out, and Mike and I started we just kind of stumbled across it. I just stumbled across that image thing by seeing what somebody else did, and so we just started talking about it. But everybody's releasing something about it. Obviously, Josh Cavalier has his post on it, but she's written a whole treatise on it, as a good PhD will do. you know, and she says, beyond infographics, how to use Nano Banana to actually support learning. And I kind of, I know this totally isn't the way she meant it, but I kind of felt like we were slapped in the face for doing silly infographics. Did what we do, is that considered what everybody's calling AI slop? Did we just contribute to AI slop? And if we did, I'm all for it, because it was
I'm here for the slop. Like,
I'm all in.
There's so much. There's learning in the margins and in the slop. Like, there you go.
Yeah. But anyway, it's super cool. Yeah. So she's got a whole bunch of 6 Nano Banana use cases to drive better learning outcomes. Number 1 is visualization. Number 2 is analogy. Number 3 is worked examples. Number 4 is contrasting cases. Number 5, elaboration. And number 6, generation. And the images and the examples that she's done are way super cool. So check it out.
Awesome.
There. We gave some value today.
There you go. What else on your mind?
All the things, especially since this came out. I just want to sit and goof around with Nano Banana all day long and create fun things. But can I take this to a really future place that probably isn't that too far of a future thing, like way out there?
If I say no, will you really stop?
No.
Probably. Okay. So
I'll try to.
You can do anything. I'll try to. I'll do what I can to
try to reel me
ask
in.
questions and
try to reel me in. I'll keep it really short. But what this starts to show me, where my mind starts to go, is okay. This is now good enough to interpret the interesting things that we say, and to be able to build the things finally that we've wanted to build. Because in the past, 3 months ago, it couldn't interpret like an infographic and all the details. It was very crappy at details. Let's put it that way. That was what I told people. It's like, if you just want a general image or a general thing, and you're okay with accepting whatever the AI image thing spits out, AI is great. But once you start trying to refine it, get down to some details, get it exactly what you want, what you are visualizing in your mind, AI sucks. And you'll spend way more time trying to prompt it to get what's in your brain onto the thing than you will if you just tried to create it yourself, right? But now that this new version of Nano Banana, the reason why it's so awesome is because it fixes that problem, and it gives you that ability to say, okay, I like this thing that you've just created, but take this other image that I've just added and take the 2 guys that are in it and just put those in creatively. Put those 2 guys in that image right there and make them, doing something, interacting with the image. And it does it. And then you can say, give that person a blue shirt instead of a red shirt. And you can start telling it to do very specific things that it just didn't understand before. And that is the game changer when everybody says that AI is a collaborator. I don't think it originally was, at least image wise. Maybe in text, it's been that for text, I guess. I'll leave it there. Like, the text has been pretty good. You can collaborate with it, ask it questions, help you write things and whatnot. Image, not so much, at least not in my mind, the types of images I wanted to create. But now we're there. So now you can collaborate with text very easily. You can collaborate with the images very easily, and it'll give you what you want. What I'm looking forward to next is building 3D spaces. right? And places that you can exist in. So how long before the AI, before you can just, before AI can build for you the holodeck? And it's, and you know, in the past when VR first came out, everybody would talk about, yeah, we finally built the holodeck, but you had to actually build it. You had to build the 3D space, you had to build the walls, build the digital walls, build the interactions and all that kind of stuff. With the AI getting so smart, can we just start to say, hey, turn this desert scene into a fully interactive 3D space that I can walk around? How far are we away from that?
Uh, I think Craig just dropped a comment in the chat about replacing graphic designers. I um One, I don't know how far away we are from a lot of that, and it gets kind of into this whole like world building type
Mm-hmm.
type type instance. Uh, there will always be, I'm a firm believer of there will always be people who are ahead of the curve who are willing to push boundaries, and then there are people who um will join on the movement where those boundaries are being pushed, and then there are people who will say, "Get off my lawn." Um, and and there's just going to be different categories. The Just the tools and the technology stuff is going to continue to change. So I don't think it ever. I don't think that you're. I think there's going to be opportunity for people to do different things if you choose to do those things. What it's doing now is, if you were one of those people who said, "You know what? I'm not creative." Now you've got something to help you make it through the struggle of that that X and Y axis of, "Hey, there's this challenge, and now I need to apply skill to be able
Yeah.
to do it." Because, um, the story I like to tell there when someone says, "Hey, I'm not creative," I said, "Okay, well, tell me about a situation where you're walking through a grocery store and a kid is crying. The kid is in your your cart, and you're pushing them through the store, and the kid's crying." Um, and yeah, I mean, what? How'd you solve it? Well, yeah, I mean, there's different people who will grab a box of something off of one of the shelves and hand it to the kid and distract them and get them doing something else there or whatever. But you create something out of nothing. So you are creative. You can come up with a way to help solve a problem when you're faced with it. Now
Yeah.
let's harness that and do it in a different way, shape, or form. Now we've got one of the most creative people I know that is on in the chat, and he's the guy who does all of the graphic design work for Catalyst. Any of the major logo stuff or images that we've put out there, Craig has had a hand in developing those. Um, One of the cool things about AI is we're starting to create more space where Craig can do, and I'm going to speak on your behalf without you being in the room or other than in the chat, but Craig can do the last mile type stuff as the human in the loop, really making it
Yeah.
pop and do the things that we need those to do for things that are well produced. So I don't think we've ever will replace graphic designers. And I don't want to turn this into one of those stupid ass freaking memes that says AI won't replace you. People who use AI will replace you. Like, that's not the point. It's more of like, hey, let's think about what more we can do and how we can really kind of get
Yeah.
overcome some of these obstacles and boundaries. And the visualization, like, I mean, I've gone through different stages where I've used things like AR, VR, goggles, and to go into a virtual environment. Imagine being able to create your own virtual environment where
Mm-hmm.
you can now throw on a pair of glasses, get on a rowing machine, and feel like you're rowing in the middle of the Pacific Ocean next to a couple of whales or something. like that this
Yeah.
environment, this immersive environment that gets sound like, that's one of those things we haven't really talked about. We should probably get into sound stuff and some of the stuff you can do with Hedra, uh, like that is
Oh
that's a
my.
different one, but
Yeah.
there's a so I think that there's an opportunity where people can get back to the roots of playing like you would have when you were a kid, where, all right, look, you
Yeah.
got a couple of sticks and a couple of stones, and we're not going to go out there and break any bones, but we're going to go out there and we're going to have fun and we're going to play cops and robbers, or we're going to play whatever it is that we're going to do, not be stuck in a device. But
Well, I mean, it's a great point, and because it's a theme of what I wanted this live stream to be. If there were some underlying themes of why we're doing this and what we want to talk about and all that kind of stuff. Yes, AI is at the core of it, but I want to help people um learn to enjoy it and to have fun, right, with technology, and to know that, yeah, you know what, there's some change that's going to happen, but we've gone through change before, and there are strategies for getting through it and understanding it. And if anybody out there needs help, if they're just if you've got your head so tightly wrapped around the axle and you just can't get yourself out of it, just reach out to us and let us talk you off the cliff, and it show you, I can tell you and teach you about all of the things that have happened in the past, specifically to my career, but also stuff that I've just witnessed, about change and about things that we all thought were going to change 30 years ago and they didn't. And then 20 years ago, and yeah, they didn't really. And then 10 years ago, and they kind of did but didn't really, right? Lots of really cool things have happened, and lots of cool things have come along and helped us do things better, differently. But the sheer freak out and the panic that everybody's feeling, I think, is overwhelming for a lot of people, and everybody needs to just relax and let's just have fun with it. It's how you learn, right? It's like, there is nothing more important than this concept right here, right? It's a theory of fun. And it's like learning is the thing, right? Learning is what everything that we do is all about, not just creating opportunities for people to learn, but for all of us to learn, and to get into this new thing, and to just figure it out. Yeah, maybe some of us think a little bit further down the road than others, and we kind of, it's just kind of how our brains work. And if yours doesn't, that's totally cool. But we can also, just teach you how to live in the now and where you're at and to have fun with it. I'm totally psyched for the audio. I have a challenge for somebody on the audio side of things. So my daughter's getting married in March, and I've been tasked, well, besides for paying for the whole darn thing. And by the way, I'll start a GoFundMe and everybody can just send me cash, because if you didn't know, weddings are expensive. And anyways, but I've been tasked with coming up with the song for the father-daughter dance, right? And if you Google it, or if you look on Spotify for playlists, it's all the same songs that you just know everybody dances to. And if anybody knows me, no, I'm not gonna pick the song that the one you just know everybody's doing, picking and using. There's probably a half a dozen of those, right? I don't want those. And The funny part is, my daughter's super cool, and she was like, "Dad, pick whatever you want. You could pick a Rush song, anything. It doesn't have to be totally normal." And I'm just thinking to myself, "There's no Rush song." Well, she's kind of type A, and she likes to solve problems, and so since I wasn't solving the problem fast enough, she found a Rush song that she thought was really good. And Time Stands Still.
Oh, mhm.
And I'm like, really? And I started thinking about, oh, maybe. And I'm like, I've never actually read the lyrics to the song before. And so I pulled them up, and I was like, wow. I mean, I'm totally not going to pick it, but I just like didn't really realize how deep the lyrics were in that particular song. So, and they're not that deep, but you know, it's cute. It's a good song. Anyways, but my other brain was like, hey, I'm going to ask AI to like write a cool song. I'm going to get it to write some really cool
Yeah.
lyrics based on her growing up in my life, but I'll put it to the one of those really popular songs. So everybody thinks we're dancing to one of those really popular songs that everybody dances to, but no, it's a custom song. I just haven't gotten to it yet. And so if anybody wants to tell me how to do that more quickly instead of me having to track down 25 different tools and figure out which one does it the best, that'd be cool.
Craig's helping out with the prompt too.
Okay. Take what you know from me when you built my infogram and pick my dad-daughter dance song for her wedding. Yes, I should. I'm afraid of what that would come up with. That's way too vague. Yeah, so it can't be about. It can't be what it knows about me. I'm I'm gonna have to, because I don't feed any family stuff or life stuff into the Googles or the, or very little, I should say. But yeah, so that's where my mind went when you said, hey, we should start talking about the music and the sound stuff. So maybe that'll be next, because now everybody's talking about the nano banana. So let's move on.
Well, so in the spirit of moving on, I went and I did this. Let's see how that works. So I did the prompt that Brent shared and applied it to
The
communication.
absurdly overcomplicated and wacky traditional communication process.
So it's at least up until the point that we start doing some of the audio stuff. Maybe we'll have this will be our way of signing off, is we'll throw some word like communication into the nano banana machine and see what it does for us. And
Okay, Craig says he uses Suno, or Suno. I'm not sure how we pronounce that, but to make music, it's prompt driven and it will write a song from scratch for you. Okay, so there's one called Udio. I did a UDIO. I downloaded an app when I first started having this idea. It's paid obviously and whatever, but I used the free version just to kind of see how well it does. Yeah, and I didn't spend much time with it, but I didn't really like what it came up with. But I'll figure something out. But I'll try Suno. Right. Yeah, thanks for the tip, Greg. Go. Appreciate it. So I guess we need to wrap this thing up. So again, I've made a post on LinkedIn for anybody that's interested in learning more about sort of the history of L&D. If you're new to L&D, if you have people on your staff that are new to L&D, maybe an SDR, BDR, maybe you're an entrepreneur looking to build something to sell into the L&D space. I'm teaching a workshop and how to just spin up on what the industry actually is. Like, it's a crash course. You're not going to learn all the specifics of instructional design or all that kind of stuff, but I'll tell you everything you need to know just to have a decent, smart conversation. This will be for managers too, that maybe you managed operations for a really long time and somebody moved you into head of, corporate training as the manager because you're a good manager, but you got to figure out what this whole L&D thing is about. So hit me up, reach out, and get yourself signed up.
There you go. Hit Brent up.
And hit Mike up at Catalyst. Find mycatalyst.com.
You don't need to hit me up right now. Hit Brent up on the on the L&D stuff. I mean, I think it really gets into that whole piece around, do people need to have industry specific knowledge, or can you teach people up or train people up on the industry specific stuff and take advantage of the skills that they bring to the team. And is that actually a better way? And I would say that is actually a better way. As long as you have humans interacting with humans, your industry isn't significantly different than others, but there's language that you use that gets in the way of that communication piece. And
That's it.
that's where Brent's going to be able to help you out. What do you say?
The semantics, all of that kind
We
of
do this
stuff.
again tomorrow?
Yes, we will do it again tomorrow. Sure.
All
What the
right,
heck?
same bad time, same bad channel. We're going to keep doing that for a little bit
Indeed.
until Warner Brothers comes after us.
I was going to say they didn't shut us
They did
down
not.
last week. Yeah. So